Hey folks, MasakoX here. Now, this kind of story of a Saiyan turning good is nothing like the other two that we have covered here on the channel. For Raditz and Nappa, their revelations came about rather quickly, or at least in a couple of parts. Within that time frame, they managed to quickly understand that being on the side of Goku was much more beneficial to them than not being so, because they were still alive. Turles is still not fully there yet. His turnabout would be much more gradual, and something that he would have to come to on his own. In the last part, Turles had been rudely interrupted from his new life of biking and flirting with Bulma's sister to find out that Vegeta, his bitter rival, had returned to Earth. He hadn't expected to be so riled about this. He thought he'd gotten over the prince, but something about their past wheelings and dealings made it hard to fully quit him. Another power got in his way, explaining why Vegeta was back. One that he had thought had been extinguished ages ago. No. Frieza was back, and on his way here, with his father. Instead of heading for Capsule Corp, he went back to Idiot Rock, and soon found out that the gravity of their predicament, and no, it had nothing to do with Vegeta's clothing, was paramount. Then we get the stuff with Trunks going down, with Turles being just as bemused as the rest of the team. And he was then forced to convert said bemusement to astonishment when the purple-jacketed jock proceeded to waste Frieza in a matter of seconds, without seemingly expending all that much effort or even really trying that hard. This new Super Saiyan was the real deal, and fortunately turned out to be a friend. After Trunks had given his warning, Turles had to figure out which camp to train with. He had initially tried to work it out with Goku, having respected Gohan immensely, but he simply just couldn't get into it fully. In the end, Turles settled into a training regimen of sorts with Vegeta, both Bulma and Tights exasperated at their bows and their constant need to one-up the other. However, Turles' past was soon about to meet his present. The news of Frieza's death had gotten to them, and they presumed that it was Kakarot that had something to do with it. Little did they know that they would be soon reunited with their captain, the mighty Turles. Let's resume, shall we? Time was passing slowly at this point. After the excitement that was Trunks' warning from the future, things had started to resume their regular pattern. Despite the looming android menace coming in a few years, within this time frame, Turles had managed to settle back into a routine. Him orbiting between his training with Vegeta, some occasional odd jobs that he undertook to make some money, as well as visiting Tights and letting off some steam, in more ways than one. Gohan would take this time to visit him simply to hang out. No training or anything, just to talk. He would do this alone or under the watchful eye of the Namekian. Piccolo couldn't quite bring himself to trust Turles entirely though. Some days he would be okay with him, and yet on others, he felt like he was about to surprise them all and betray them. Turles didn't mind this arrangement though. The kid was alright. Besides, it was clear that he was struggling with something, including the training, wanting to vent to Turles that he felt a lot of pressure at having to train so hard for a future that they had no clue about. In a way, Turles found this rather amusing. As someone who had no expectations put on him as a child, and had not really expected to survive into adulthood, so I guess this point of view was refreshing? Was that the right word to describe that? Yeah, refreshing. To see someone dealing with the exact opposite that he had done. On one hand, he was Kakarot's son, and therefore the grandson of Bardock. Turles kept reminding himself of that every day, or every once in a while, since Gohan was nothing like Bardock. But he was still expected to have great potential and be able to defend himself from any upcoming threat. But on the other hand, his mother wanted him to be a successful and intelligent human being, which as Turles understood, here, that was achieved through education. Maybe that's the reason many of the Earthling bloodlines were prospering, despite their general low level of development in comparison to other worlds across the galaxy. Turles likened humanity in a way to very early Tuffles, when they went down the road of technology and intellect rather than brute force. Maybe this pack mentality was really the way to go going forward, something that they, Saiyans, had forgotten, although not entirely. If Turles could remember correctly, some of the more successful teams within the Saiyan squads, and then later on the Frieza Force when they were absorbed into them, had that quality about them, a pack mentality. They were very powerful, and yet they could act extremely well as one unit, greater than the sum of their parts. especially Bardock's. His was the best in the business by a country mile, which was shocking to fathom when they had been dispatched by Dodoria. Surely Frieza could have let them live, right? They were so useful to the cause, but no. He had to go with Prince Vegeta. What a dumb move. Turles tried to share some of Bardock's adventures with the kid. Kakarot was indifferent to these stories, but the ex-pirate thought that Gohan at least should know about his lineage. He had the right to know about his legacy. He could guess that his own group that was sent away was kinda like that. At least for a while. But they truly were a little too rowdy and competitive for their own good. That's the crew that we had in the first part. And then there's his crew. His mind then fixated on his old Crusher Corps posse. His stomach suddenly felt very heavy. For the first time in a long while, his thoughts went to them. He had been trying to push those thoughts out of his mind. He already felt guilty for having not contacted them to say he was okay. As far as they were concerned, they thought he was dead. He wasn't sure how to phrase it, or whether to actually contact them at all, or whether they would leave Earth alone. Hopefully they were doing alright without him. Is everything alright, Turles? Gohan looked at him when he saw that Turles looked a little bit absent-minded. Damn that kid, he was really good at perception. No, everything's fine. Just thinking how I'm gonna beat your old man one of these days. You know, when the androids are turned to a pile of scrap metal, I mean. Gohan nodded and looked a little relieved. Oh, good. It was just average Saiyan banter. Gohan thought it can't be all that bad. So, how's the training with Vegeta going? Gohan changing the subject. Turles sighing deeply. Well enough. But I think neither your father or the prince can really help me improve as much as I'd want. I need to find my own way if I want to thrive on the battlefield. It worked for me in the past. I always thrived. Surviving. When you're on the cusp of death, things just happen. You can achieve great things when you're on the line. You're pretty lucky, not having to adapt to that struggle. As well as having parents who actually care about you, you know? Too soft for my taste, but I guess you people care for growing either strong or capable. I'm sorry that you had to go through all that stuff as a child. Turles looked at him, tilting his head forward as he lurched up from his previous position from underneath his motor. Oh, don't be. It was all part of growing up. It helped build my character into what I am today. It made me strong. We are defined by the sum of our experiences, kid. Or something like that. Read about it in one of the books that Tights gave me. Really? You've learned to read? Turles looked a little annoyed at this. I could already read, you little punk. Less of the lip. I mean, your language. If you people are going to be absolute savages and put everything in paper format rather than some kind of device, then, kinda. He smirked. What do you think so far? Gohan was really excited. For now, I'm reading mostly those science-y fictional books or something that Tights writes or likes. They're funny. Piccolo rarely spoke during these visits, but this time allowed himself a little quip. I guess for you, they're just, fiction. Oh, believe me, Green Man. Nothing science-y about them. And the three of them shared a laugh. Turles had begrudgingly accepted that he actually enjoyed the company of Gohan and Piccolo. The kid was talkative yet enthusiastic, and the Namekian was a very tough individual and stoic. Besides, traveling with a crew for many years made him used to the company of others, and he sort of missed that. This was a welcome change of pace, he reckoned, but one day, after himself and Vegeta had ended a particularly tough training session, they sensed something familiar. Hey, do you feel that? Vegeta started to feel uneasy. Turles' eyes widened. I do. Something quite powerful is coming to Earth. Not quite Frieza's levels of power, but still. But a good way to have more mobile punching bags, right, Prince? Let's take a look. The prince smirked. He could get behind that. Of course, the sudden visitation had also attracted the attention of the other Dragon Team members, and soon enough, Kakarot and his friends were awaiting as well. A familiar vessel, much to Turles' dismay. No, he muttered to himself. Not now. Oh? Did you call your pals here, Turles? Are they gonna help us out with the androids? No, I haven't contacted them in a long time. Believe me, Kakarot, I'm just as stumped as you are. As the ship landed, the whole group consisted of Dais, Almond, Cacao, Raisin, and Lacasse. But they had changed. A lot. Out of all of them, Dais seemed like the most different. There was something overwhelmingly off about him, and he felt like the source of this overwhelming power. No way. How nice of you people to bring our captain back to us. We have been awaiting your return, Turles, but we grew uneasy, so we decided to search for you. Oh, so you're going home? You're not gonna help us with the androids then? Turles said nothing. He simply gritted his teeth and clenched his fist.
Mighty Turles, aren't you glad to see us? We've come to take you away from this hellhole that you found yourself in quite clearly.
The former pirate took a step forward, looked to the dragon team, and then back to his old squad. You guys still doing odd jobs for a lek?
Nowadays, we're a much more independent business. A lot of desirable chaos was created with the fall of Frieza. But we're still making some Heeters some credits from time to time. But most of the profits are, thankfully, our own.
Turles nodded and took in the information. So, you're doing well for yourself. Fine. Well, it was good to see you, and to know that you survived. But I also had my own business. Hammond and the Beans looked very shocked, whilst Cacao was his usual emotionless self. Their captain had turned his back on them? They had come all this way for nothing? But Dice didn't seem all that fussed. He simply just cracked his neck and smirked. Oh, are these your words or someone else's? Are you being kept against your will, Captain? Turles shrugged. Nah, just found a good place to train, that's all. Besides, you guys seem to be doing fine without me. Like you moved on. Dice looked at the rest of the crew. Oh, trust me, we are. We really hoped you would see sense, Turles, and come share our success, but I guess I need to prove to the rest of them that I would be a more suitable successor. Hey, look, if you want to be the new captain of the Crusher Corps, be my guest. You can take the mantle. I don't want it. But if you want to show me how many fruits you've gobbled up along the way to make yourself so damn powerful, I'm all for seeing the fruits of your labor. And with that, Dice charged angrily at Turles with a power that genuinely surprised his old superior. He could feel that the Carbo-chan was strong, but those few first hits connected. Vegeta looked at Kakarot with a nasty smirk.
Well, I guess we'll have to pick up the pieces of this fight, right, Kakarot?
Now hold up, Vegeta. I think Turles has got this. Quickly, after realizing the angles and the speed in which Dice was often attacking him from, Turles decided to retaliate with some of the tricks that he had managed to acquire thanks to the training from Goku and Vegeta. He got punched? Well, no matter. He simply would headbutt Dice. Meteor balls? Oh, easy. He would just deflect them back at his opponent. Slowly but surely, Turles was gaining the upper hand. Not through brute strength solely, but by outsmarting his opponent. He knew that he couldn't ignore Dice's power completely, but it wasn't really that much of a threat. It was unrefined, raw, unchecked. Whilst the Carbo-chan Prince was trying to use the same tricks over and over again, Turles was at this point more knowledgeable in terms of actual martial arts and was able to run rings around his opponent despite his strength. It was sad in a way. Dice was strong now, but he wasn't ready to use this power in actual combat. He was following a script that was constantly repeating itself and unable to adapt or improvise to any roadblocks. He was looking quite desperate, frankly. Finally, one of his counterattacks had managed to send Dice flying as he collapsed to the ground, defeated. Impressive, Dice. You got the power to do great things. But that's not enough. You need to hone said power more. I can help you with that. Stay with me, and I can make you into a great fighter.
Help me?
Dice scoffed.
I don't recognize you anymore, Turles. You speak like those weaklings over there.
Dice glared at Goku for a moment. What? Ha! That weakling killed Frieza, with energy to spare. Well, he almost killed him, but I'm pretty sure he would do it again if he had the chance.
Don't you dare do this to me now, Turles. You took me away from my comfortable life. I was following your way! Now that way is no longer it!
Turles shrugged. People change and adapt. I can help you guys do that if you want. Or you can just do what you've done so far and see where that takes you. I'd be lying if I said that part of me isn't glad to see you all in good shape, but I think I'm done with the pirate life. Dice managed to stand up and started retreating towards the ship.
You've lost your way.
He spat blood. Men, we're leaving. Cacao stepped in, but the Beans and Almond were looking at Turles.
Are you three deaf? You know, Dice, I think we'll be staying with the mighty Turles for a while.
Dice scowled.
Oh, to hell with you all! Cacao, take us away!
And the vessel started to ascend. Vegeta looked at Turles.
What now? Should I blast those fools?
Turles had the hand up. No, they mean it. I can tell.
What about the others? It's not too late to wreck their ship.
No again, Prince. This is me returning the favor that I got. You got it as well as from what I recall. Maybe it'll work marvels for dice. Who knows? The Saiyan Prince was muttering how this was a mistake, but Goku seemed happy about Turles' decision. Then the ex-pirate looked to his former comrades. Alright, what are we gonna do with you three? Well, I guess I have to ask Bulma for some more quarters then. And that's where we're going to be leaving things for right now. If you like the story where Saiyan turned good, check out the story here where that spiky-haired guy Vegeta stayed a baddie, a bit of an opposite. And as always, I shall see you in the next video. Catch you later!